Hello, everyone, and welcome to Money Mondays again here on Front Porch Politics podcast. Of course, we're going to be discussing today a story that come out in the Motley Fool, which basically says that could a stock market crash 2.0 be looming and on its way? It actually asks the question, is a perfect storm brewing? Well, on Money Monday, we want to discuss that and what's going to take place with your money. Of course, we always want you to be safe with your money. We want you to be smart with your money. But at the same time, we also want you to be prepared for what could be coming ahead. There's no doubt we probably will still have an October surprise. We have seen a lot of fluctuation in the market as we look back at what has taken place in October of several years past and what could potentially take place this October. So as we begin this Money Monday today here on Front Porch Politics, we're going to talk about the stock market, the possible crash 2.0 is what they've called it, and how this will affect your wallet.
Welcome to Front Porch Politics, conservative conversation for a complicated country. And now, your host, the pontificator of common sense and coffee connoisseur, David Marks.
And thank you, Dr. Harrison, for that warm introduction. I am David Marks, the pontificator of common sense and your coffee connoisseur. We hope that everyone is having a great day. Monday back to work, and we hope that you have a Labor Day off. So we hope that you actually are getting to spend some time off, but we know a lot of you are not. You are having to work to pay the taxes for those who are not going to work today. So the question has been looming, what is going on with the market? As many of you know, the market has been up and it's been down, it's been all over the place. And we would all like to know that also. We know the market has been very turbulent over the last few months, and we also see where that is affecting a lot of people's 401ks and their retirement accounts. Well, an interesting story came out in Motley Fool, and I'm looking down at my iPad as I look at this, that says that there could be a stock market crash 2.0 headed our way. And it basically asks the question, is a perfect storm brewing? The statistics it gives us says that, the S&P 500 was lower by 34% in just 5 weeks. Of course, we know why the S&P 500 took that hard nosedive. It's when everything, including the United States' $22 trillion economy, was shut down because of COVID-19. Now, of course, we also know that government spending was put into place, which is almost like a temporary bubble, but that government spending was seen as necessary by most, and it added to our national deficit, which is never good. The reason I tell you that is because we've also seen a ferocious rally in the market, and we've seen a huge comeback in the market to where the Dow Jones was over 29,000, the S&P 500 is setting records, and everything seems to just be exploding. So what exactly is taking place? I mean, we're seeing what they called a V-shaped recovery or a super V recovery, and there's no doubt that there's a lot of people who made a lot of money because of this. So how does that impact you, and why does that really matter? Because, folks, there's going to be an October surprise looming ahead of us. There's no doubt about it. This podcast is taking place in September of 2020, and I would anticipate that sometime in October there is something that's going to happen. Now, keep this in mind. Look at everything that we as Americans have dealt with this year. We've dealt with an impeachment trial. We've dealt with all these Russia allegations. We dealt with COVID-19. We dealt with protesting in the streets, with violent riots in the streets where buildings have been burned, people's businesses have been shuttered and destroyed, and we've dealt with 2 hurricanes in the Gulf of Mexico at the same time. I mean, it seems like that anything that could be thrown at us has been thrown at us in 2020. And I almost take a hard breath at saying that because we know that there's still several months left in this year. More importantly, there is still 2 months, strong 2 months, before we have our general election. Now, the reason I say that is because as conservatives, we know something. We know there's a deep state in Washington. I mean, we know that. There may be people who want to say that we're conspiracy theorists or, the Pizzagate's a hoax. But folks, I'm here to tell you that there is no doubt a deep state. And Dan Bongino said this last week, and I thought it was a very good point. He made the comment that eventually you're going to have to pick a side. In the Old Testament, I think about where the verse was given where it says, choose you this day whom you will serve. Joshua was making that statement saying, look, you've got to make a decision on who you're going to side with. You've got to make a decision to either side with God or side with the enemy. I mean, that's your choice. That's as basic as it gets. Choose you this day whom you will serve. Okay. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord is how he finished that. Well, as a conservative, I serve God first. There's no doubt about that. I want to protect my family, but at the same time, I love my country. Even with her faults, I love my country. And there is no doubt, no matter what skin color you are, that I think you have the ability to be prosperous in this country. At the same time, you can't go around burning people's business. You can't go around destroying other people's property. That's not how our organized society works. It's just not going to take place in a good society, and we're seeing our society being torn apart by communist and Marxist. I mean, Antifa is nothing but a communist Marxist organization, and they're going to try to destroy all they can and take us down as far as they can. That being said, what the ramifications that are coming from these cities that are being burned and being looted, is going to have huge ramifications down the road, even more than COVID-19. Because there are people, because of COVID-19, who are losing their businesses. And you've seen how the elitists feel about your business and feel about you. And really how they feel about the stock market. Nancy Pelosi is a good example. Pelosi, who wants to go get her hair done, who wants to go have her hair cut while your beauty shop has to stay shut down. I mean, just keep that in mind, that Pelosi wanted to keep it on the hush and hush, and then when she was caught red-handed, well, she blames the salon owner for setting her up. I mean, what hypocrisy. Take responsibility for your actions, Nancy. That's a shame that you would blame this lady who is a business owner who's trying to make money and put food on her table. Because last time I checked, you're not missing a paycheck as Speaker of the House, even though you were not in Washington working for the people. And since we're talking about Nancy Pelosi, let me remind you of something. In 2008, when we were going through the horrendous Great Recession, all of you remember this, and our national debt from that time until Trump came into office had grown 120%. Just keep all this in mind. One of the pieces of legislation that was on the table was trying to wrangle in credit card companies. So companies like Visa and MasterCard, they were going to legislatively set limits on what they could charge as an interest rate on the people who had those cards, because basically you're borrowing money from those card companies. Well, Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi, owned a lot of stock in Visa. And that legislation did not see the House floor until after Paul Pelosi had sold all of his Visa stock. Now, why would that happen? Because Nancy Pelosi understood that they would take a bath financially if she introduced legislation that would cut the interest being raised and earned by Visa on the people they were charging the interest on. See, Pelosi's very dirty and she's very cunning. A lot of people may think that she's not that good of a politician, but I would disagree. I think she's a very good politician, and I think that she knows exactly what she's doing. So if they could find ways to manipulate the market for themselves, they would do it. Anything that she's done, anybody else as a common citizen, you or I, we would be put in jail for insider trading or fraud. But she walks around free and gets to blame other people for the wrong she has because she's Speaker of the House. Now, what was it we were told several times when they were talking about Donald Trump? Adam Schiff said this. Nancy Pelosi said this. Jerry Nadler, all of the squad members, what did they constantly tell us? No one is above the law. Well, they've proven they are. They've proven they are 100% above the law. Because when lawlessness has come into their communities, just Ilhan Omar, for example, many businesses have been destroyed inside of her district. What has she done to say we need to stop the violence? Nothing. She blames the president for stoking the violence while she's doing so herself. She finds her daughter in the front of these Antifa marches, just like with de Blasio. His daughter was one of the Antifa riders that was arrested in New York City. He blames Trump, but yet his daughter was out there on the front lines. See, there's a two-tier justice system, and I believe Dan Bongino was correct. Eventually, there's going to be lines that have to be drawn, and it's not going to be fun sometimes, folks. But in our next upcoming election before now and then, you need to prepare yourself. So let me give you some advice. If you think, what should I do with my money? What should I be prepared for? Well, number one, you need to make sure that your money is diversified. You need to make sure that you have paid off as much debt as possible. So let's break this down for just a moment. What do I mean by diversified? I would say you need to keep some cash on hand. Now, I know a lot of you may think, well, they had the national coin shortage, so coins didn't really do me any good. But you still need to keep some cash on hand. If you can, keep a month supply of cash. If you can't do a month, do 3 months. But you need to make sure that you keep some cash on hand. Secondly, in your retirement accounts, never put all of your eggs in one basket. It's very important that at any time, no matter who the president is, that you don't put all of your money into one stock or one company, even into one fund. My advice would be, if you have a Roth IRA, which I do, or if you have a traditional IRA, that you put your money in good growth stock mutual funds. Mutual funds that have a 10% return over the last 10 years. That's always a good idea. Because when you do so, you're making your money grow for you over the long term, which is what you want to do. It can withstand any president coming in, whether it be Republican or Democrat. You never want to look for the hokey gimmicks. You never want to look for the things that may be quick money, because that's not exactly how you grow money in the market. Yes, I have been pretty, I would say, successful with making my money work for me by buying and selling some options contracts. And look, folks, I use Robinhood. If you want to know about investing your money, you can go to davidlmarch.com. Right there on the home screen, there's a button you can click that says Start Investing. And you can open up a Robinhood account. And in that Robinhood account, you can trade without any commissions on your trades. Now, several companies have started doing this since Robinhood has, and I've used Robinhood for a few years now. But I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm not trying to give you, well, this is what you need to follow. But in the Robinhood account I have, I'll just be honest with you, it is my fun money. It's my money that if I lose every bit of it tomorrow, it's okay. All of my other money is invested in certain things. For example, a Roth IRA, and in cash and in savings. So I would also recommend that as we get closer to this election, that you do stockpile something as a conservative. If you do not own a firearm, go out and get one. If you can legally own one, you need to buy one, and you need to buy some ammunition, and you need to go out and have classes and be trained on how to use that firearm. No, I'm not trying to scare you here, and I'm not trying to tell you that doomsday is coming or civil war is coming, although there are some out there in this podcast land and YouTube channel land that are telling you that. I don't think that's the case. I just think that you need to be prepared. I think that, you know, we always have to consider the situation of life we live in, and if you want to protect your home, well, you need to be able to follow the Second Amendment. Also, you need to make sure that you have a little bit of food rationed up, because look, they have promised us that there is going to be dangerous times if Trump wins re-election. And let me give you an example. Over the weekend, there was a story from the Washington Post, and in this story, they stated that if Trump wins re-election, there will be rioting in the streets. As a matter of fact, they said the only way that there wouldn't be rioting in the streets is if Biden wins by a landslide. Now, why would they say that? Why would they tell us that the only way that we're not going to have massive rioting and burning in our streets is if Biden wins in a landslide? See, that's pandering, that's scare tactics, and I don't want to ever do that on this podcast. I want this podcast to always be open and to be truthful and to give you good information. If we're talking about money on Money Mondays, then we're going to try to give you advice on what you need to do with your money. Not just tell you that, oh, you need to go out and buy all the guns and ammunition you can because we're all in danger, because that's not the case. My friends, I still feel very safe, and let me tell you why. Because number one, the city I live in, the area I live in, we still respect law enforcement. We still respect law. And I think that there are great men and women out there working in law enforcement who keep us safe. I would venture to say there's even a reason why these Antifa people have not come into our area and have tried to pull the stuff that they've done in the other areas like Seattle. Because I personally know of men and women both who would go out and stand with police officers to shut that down. See, that's what I'm telling you. Don't be fearful. Don't be scared, but there could be a time coming when you have to choose a side. So let's look at it this way. Is it really white and black? No, it's not. Is it really rich and poor? No, it's not. It boils down to those who believe in America and American exceptionalism and those who are communist and want to tear it down. And they're going to be the ones who impact your money and your business. Be sure to check us out at davidlmarch.com. We hope you learned something. Go back and listen to all the other podcasts. Drop us a line and follow us on social media. And until next time, my friends, may God bless you, may God bless America, and we will see you real soon.
Thank you for listening. For free resources, additional podcasts, and to join the Front Porch newsletter, please visit davidlmarks.com.